of Behind the Podcast. So excited to be here. Hello, everybody.
Wait, what happened to the usual, thing?
Intro.
Oh, I forgot to do it. Yeah, I'm sorry. We were talking about. I really did.
Oh my God!
Let's start it over. Let's do it again because we'll do it again. Here we go. We're starting.
Can I keep eating my cereal?
Yeah, go eat your cereal. That's why Guy really wanted the countdown. Here we go.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Guy Kawasaki. I am in Santa Cruz, California, and we're with Peg Fitzpatrick, who is in Live Free or Die country, and Jeff C., who's in Mask Free.
No, it's don't mess with Texas. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Don't mask with Texas?
No, don't. Oh, here we go. New bumper stickers are coming out.
Yep. Get the t-shirt. It's on sale at Amazon right now.
It probably is.
We could go down a deep hole and talk about masking and vaccination right now because we're all pissed off, but we're not yet.
We're excited about this week's guest.
We are. Yes. We are. And it's Mark Schulman. Mark Schulman is Pink's drummer, and he was Cher's drummer, and he was like a lot of rock stars' drummer. So it's a very interesting episode. Suffice it to say, I don't hang around rock stars very often, so it was great to get his perspective about drumming and music and being a rock star and all that kind of stuff. So we have an icebreaker question, which is, go ahead, Jeff.
It is. Are you a rock star? What was your first concert?
Oh,
man. Guy, what was your first concert?
Did they have music back then?
It was some ukulele thing, I think. I think Captain Cook played. That's a good question. Maybe Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I don't know. Justin Bieber. I'm not that old.
What about? I know, Peg. You know yours. What was your first contest?
I did. I went to see the Cars. The Cars, when their first album, The Cars, came out. So that was back when I liked the Cars because Rick Ocasek wasn't. Well, he's passed away now, but he wasn't very nice in his will. So that's another topic. But it was the Cars who I liked a lot. I used to go to tons of concerts. Yeah, they were good. How about you, Jeff?
So my first one was in I think it was in Kansas City. It was Chicago with Peter Cetera. It was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty awesome. I'm trying to think of the last concert I went to, and I think it was
concert.
My wife loves Earth, Wind, and Fire, so we went and saw them, and it was crazy. It was amazing.
I think my first one may have been Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
So, cool. Yeah. I think my last one was U2 in London.
Oh, that would have been cool. Doesn't Rich love
U2 in London?
Yeah, Rich loves U2, and his dream concert is to go to U2 in Dublin, just like to be in Dublin and, see U2. So we saw them at the O2 Arena, and it was a really good concert. U2 was really good. So
I don't know if it qualifies, but I don't know if this qualifies, but I was in London when Elton John had an outdoor concert. And so I heard that. I didn't go to it, but I heard it.
Cool.
I saw Elton John and Billy Joel on a Piano Man tour. They toured together.
Cool. So let us know your first concert you went to. Steven says Steppenwolf. That was very, very cool. Luciano says, yes, the Cars. That was, they had a lot of good songs back in the day. Let's see. Tracy says hers was U2 as well. So
your first concert spoiled for everything.
I know.
U2 was your first.
Carol says Bruce Springsteen.
The Boss.
The Boss, yes. So very, very cool. She saw it in Syracuse. Maybe you were at the same concert. You never know.
No, but Tracy, I'm from Rochester, so shout out to upstate New York. Right. I went to the War Memorial.
But I went to 2 Justin Bieber concerts. How many people can say that?
You did.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Justin Bieber twice in person.
You mean like at the Toronto airport or at a performance?
No, I saw him one time in the weirdest place of all, Rome. We were across from the ruins, and we were crossing the street, and the Biebs come across with all of his entourage. He was like in the Roman ruins with his entourage. So weird. And I was gonna take a picture, and I had my great Fuji camera, and one of his bouncers came over, and I was like, I'll put it away because they're notorious for breaking cameras, but I still did get a picture. And then when I had a speaking engagement in Beverly Hills, I hopped on the elevator to go to my speaking gig, and he was on the elevator.
No.
So I literally rode the elevator with him and like two other people. But it was really cool because the other people didn't know who he was. So I wasn't like, oh my God, but it was him. And he got off, and I was like, and he just like gave me a little like, and I was like, my girls are like, how can you see him twice? So one time was in an elevator, which is a very close contact.
Yeah. So some more people, like Eric says, too many people to remember which one was first. He's a big YouTube fan too. He's gone to see him a bunch of times.
Did you? You said
Eric,
you should have said.
In Rochester?
You should have said to the Beeb, one less lonely girl when you got in the elevator.
You're right. I'm totally his demographic.
So why do we ask this question? Let's talk about why we're talking about concerts, because people may be joining going, what in the world?
What the hell? Yeah.
So go ahead, Kai.
No, it's because our guest is Mark Schulman, and he's the drummer for Pink. So he gave us a lot of Pink stories, who I guess is quite the performer. My God. I mean, she does all her own cool stunts, right?
Yeah.
She does. If you watch, she's got right now that she's got a brand new documentary that just came out on Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah.
And I watched like the preview for it, and she does like insane stunts where she's like spinning up over the whole arena. I mean, it's not like a quick little jump off something. She's like in the harnesses, spinning and doing tricks, and I don't even know how she gets insured for that. Can you imagine the insurance rider?
Oh my gosh, yeah. She is I went back and watched some of her stuff on YouTube after I listened to this podcast because of the stories that he was telling. She's really, some of the stuff she does, like coming out of the ceiling, and he tells some stories about that as well. So make sure you guys, if you haven't, go to and it came out this morning. Make sure you guys go to remarkablepeople.com and check it out, because it's just not like, Guy talks about, it's not about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. He's a really eloquent speaker, and the things that they got into the weeds about is really fascinating and we're going to talk about some of those questions in a little bit. But we also want to make sure you guys know about Guy's Ohana, so when these awesome podcasts come out.
That's right. Join.
Shout out if you came from the text that you got at quarter two.
Yeah. So make sure you guys go to 1-831-609-0628 and sign up for those reminders. Only for the U.S. and Canada, I believe. Is that correct? Sorry.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer, huh?
Not our fault, but that's
not. Well, no service really has a lot of countries that kind of service. There's too many. There's too many laws for privacy from each country all over the world. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got
Michael Jackson.
That would have been amazing.
Oh, I'm going to go get the drum that Mark sent me. 1 second.
Oh, cool. Yes,
a lot of people.
You love Megan. If you love Pink, you need to listen to this, because there's a lot of some really cool behind the scenes. And I guess Guy's going to go get a drum, because this was the drummer from Pink.
I think Adrienne saw her. Adrienne, then you saw our guest. You saw Mark drumming because he's been.
But he also was the drummer for Cher. He's got a really cool story about Cher. Who else has he done it for? Foreigner, and Journey. Nicks. And Journey, didn't he?
Yeah. No, Journey was the one where they were redoing.
Oh, that's right.
It was the people from Journey. That's a different story.
Yes.
So just so many people. It's Billy Idol.
Yeah. He's very talented. So show it off, Guy.
So he's a very high level.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yep.
and now Mark is like, no, that's not how you do that one.
That's right.
Not bongos.
Nope.
Well, at the end of the podcast, he plays the drums.
That's right.
I must admit, though, I wasn't prepared for that. Well, nobody was prepared for that. So I can't tell you it's at the highest sound quality. Let me put it to you that way.
Right.
Yeah, that was a little hard to edit.
Yeah, listen to any of Pink Live, and that will be him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was really interesting hearing him talk about his role, that he was a total supportive role, and how that is his job is to make the front runner, showcase them, not himself. Very, very humble.
Mm-hmm.
That's like how Peg and Jeff approach me.
Yep.
Very, very careful.
Yep. It is. I spend a lot of time doing that.
We just you don't view your role as to make me look good?
I think I do that 24/7. What are you talking about?
Make you sound good. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
So here's another, because he's a speaker. If you didn't know that, he does this motivational speakers, and he talks about pivoting as well during the pandemic. And Guy and him, of course, showed off their tech stuff that they were using. Yeah. Let me go full screen there. What's it? Conquering Life's Stage Fright? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Life's, yep.
Very, very cool.
Is it not focused?
There it is.
There it is. So stage fright could be a lot of different things. It could be from getting up and performing, or for speaking, even for going live. A lot of people have it just for going live. So have you guys ever felt that before? Jeff and I are both theater people. So we've had various, but I think all great performers or speakers or everybody gets that little excitement of butterflies. You never know what's going to happen. You never know, like, are people going to laugh? Are people going to not? Yeah. If Jeff will remember the intro, you never know. Will your mouth be full of cereal and go? Hey,
you need some aloe for that burn.
She never lets up. And really, it's so horrible. Nope. But I've talked about this before. I mean, even before these live shows, I always get a little butterfly hits you every time, because you never know what's going to happen. So, and I think Guy's talked about this before too, is that anybody tells you they're not scared about speaking or whatever is pretty much a liar. So, I mean, everybody gets nervous.
Yeah,
I think.
Yep. We talked about it a couple weeks ago or last week when we talked about speaking, but you can get it for all different things. Even if it's just a presentation at work, a lot of people have just anxiety about that, getting up in front of your peers. And now one of the hard things, we talked about it on Erica's, which was last week, episode, when we talked about even like looking at yourself on Zoom while you're talking, and you're not looking at yourself, you're looking at your camera, but you're on camera. So there's all those kind of mental things that go with it, and you can totally get into your head. You have to flip that off and just keep going, which rehearsal helps for that, which for a live show we have questions, but we don't exactly know what we're going to say. So
yeah. Or what Guy's going to say.
Or what someone else is going to say. Yeah.
That's what makes us nervous.
It depends if the intro reel plays or not. We gotta
see. Oh my gosh, it's never going to end. Why do I even do this? So
it's so fun.
Yeah, just light butterflies, says Tracy. So yeah, I think, I mean, what is it?
I get moths.
I think what a lot of people, and I think you maybe talked about this in the podcast, is taking that nervous energy and moving it to, your performance. But he practices. I mean, Guy was even.
I think we have a question about that.
Yeah.
I think we have we had a question about rehearsing.
So this is a great question, Guy. Why is the stage fright coming from? Where is it coming from, and does it fade away with experience?
I don't know where it comes from, but it's just getting psyched up. I mean, I bet you that before an Olympic swimmer jumps in the pool, they're probably got butterflies too. It's just in anticipation. For me, it ends about 10 seconds into the speech. And after that, I am just in a zone. Once I start a speech, I am totally in the zone, and very few things can faze me at that point.
Do you use notes at all, or is it all memorized for you guys?
No, it's not memorized. Well, it is memorized. I don't use notes, but I'm kind of a 5-trick pony, right? I've got 5 main speeches, and I can give any of them without even looking at anything. But it's kind of like asking Wayne Newton, can you sing Dankeschön without seeing the music? I'm sure Wayne Newton can.
But did you practice, like, when you first started coming up with those 5? Did you, like, really rehearse and, like, what are you going to do with your hands and all that kind of stuff?
I hate when people ask me this because at this point, okay, seriously, at this point, let's say I was going to write a new speech, which is kind of a lie because every one of my speeches has a little bit from the past. But let's say it's a new speech, new title, new whatever, right? And so I make the 10 slides using Canva, of course, because Canva can now make presentations 16 by 9 over hundreds and hundreds of templates. Anyway, end of Canva ad. Canva, where I can't get my chest high enough there. Canva. And so now, if you give me an hour, I can make a 10-slide Canva presentation, and I can give a keynote. First time, I can just do it at this point. So... yeah. Now, Mark says that he rehearses his speech. Did he say every day? It was some astronomical.
He said 4 times a week, he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like every other day.
Like when he's going for a walk or whatever, he just keeps going over it and changing it and making it perfect.
But I think I felt like he was rehearsing his tech too, because he's got a really high tech setup.
Yeah. Well, that's why he's a rock star and I'm not. So.
Yeah, he's got a super high tech setup.
Yeah.
You do have certain mannerisms, guy. Like when you're doing a speech, when you get to like super into the zone, you'll go over and like lean on the podium when you're like deep in the zone, and you're just like, you have like levels of like settling in. It's funny.
There's the ozone. There's the.
Yep. So and you're just like, bring it on, everybody.
So is Q&A part of?
I'd fall over if I did that. I'd be like, what?
Oh, you do awesome. Do you do Q&A with yours, Guy, as well?
You mean in person or actually both? I do. Q&A is always a crapshoot, because you just, first of all, the worst thing is nobody has a question. So then you got to like, drag it out of somebody. Mm-hmm. And then inevitably there's always someone who wants to start with the freaking moment he or she was conceived, right? So I was conceived in, the backseat of a 65 Mustang. And then I went to elementary school in Arlington, Texas. And then I went to TCU where I was a horn frog and I was in the band. And then I got my MBA. Then I went to work for Goldman Sachs. And like 16 minutes later, what the hell is the question? And oh my God, it kills me. And there are some questions that you just cannot answer, like unless sometimes I start my answers with, I'm not your psychiatrist, but
right.
But I think that Q&A is kind of a good test of how well a speaker truly knows his or her subject.
Right. But a lot of times if you're doing a keynote, you don't have Q&A. Depends on the setup.
Right.
Q&A. Yeah, but
I'm sorry. I would say that
in marketing world there is a lot of times Q&A, and then there's hundreds of people in your room, and then there's people that run up, and those are tough. I always try to help people, or I tell them, come out in the hall later. But then later you get the people who send you direct message and they want like full consulting. I just saw you speak. Could you possibly redo my social strategy for me? And blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm a speaker at the event and I gave my education at that point. And now, no, I will not do consulting. Sorry.
I would say that there is more downside in doing Q&A than upside. I think there's much more danger in doing Q&A than there is the upside of, you're going to have such an awesome Q&A. You're going to leave the audience wanting more.
Right.
So I try.
Although I have had people at Social Media Marketing World came up and said, I did everything that you told us to do last year and it worked really well. And I'm like, amen. Like that's the best Q&A.
Right.
But that's not Q&A.
But then they add another, and now I'm wondering about blah. But it is nice when people acknowledge, because it's nice that people like that kind of thing where you're building the relationship with people. You have a different one, Guy. They usually come up and they go, I saw you speak in 1989 at blah 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 world, and I just wanted to say it was great. And you're like, and then what are you supposed to say? You're like, it's 2020, dude. Like 21 now, but.
We will say that we do like talking to people. We do like, we're not all, it's fun when people come talk. I want to bring up some comments. Megan says, I give it my all and then I'm completely exhausted afterwards, especially as an ambivert. And then this was interesting from Shelley. She goes, ambivert? Somebody who,
actually, what is... she means she's like an extrovert. She's an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert. Ambivert is somebody who doesn't care one way or another. Yeah.
But this is interesting from Shelley. She goes, she has been singing her whole life. She gets more butterflies talking to a few people, but less butterflies singing in front of giant crowds. But it all goes down to that. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Yeah. So
because you practice before you sing.
Yeah, that's probably true. So
you never get up and sing without practice.
Right. And we have some dancers too. Same thing. I've been in the dance industry for 30 years. Always zone out as soon as the music starts.
See, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see here. Some other questions. Oh, so we got some more. Let's bring up this one. This is,
I go into a zone in these live chats as soon as the introduction plays.
Oh my God. This is just beat up Jeff day. So I hit one wrong button. I'm running all these things. Let's see here. Oh, this is the question.
Just play it every couple minutes now.
Yeah, I'll just start counting down again. Take that. Have you ever messed up an important interview or audition? Maybe you have hit the wrong button at the beginning and just started talking instead of playing the intro, like happened today. So have you ever messed up an important interview or audition?
Mark tells a great story about how he auditioned and he blew it, and how that ultimately had a positive effect on his career because he was determined to never have that happen again.
So this is a teaser for next week's, but you tell a story that I hadn't heard about with Steve Jobs for next week when it was I'm not going to say it, but it's just stay tuned because that was a good thing too.
Make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah, because that was one I hadn't heard before from guys.
Wait, which one is it? About the ad campaign?
Yeah, that one. Oh. Yeah. So that's interesting.
That's my $250 million story.
It's really good. Yeah. So this has really hit a lot of people. Have they ever messed up an important interview or audition? We got tons of comments. So Tracy said failed miserably. What did you fail at, Tracy? I'm hitting. See, I'm all flustered now today because everybody's yelling at me.
Jeff is not in the zone today.
I am not. There, take that off. There we go.
Understandable.
Failed miserably is what Tracy said. And a lot of people are saying, just like Angelica, I have. So I think we all have. If you've been in the business for a while.
I think the way that people have to interview now is crazy. The process, even before the pandemic, just like you're sending in something digital, then, you have so many interviews before you even get a job these days. I would be like, okay, we need you to come for an 8th interview. We got a team that's going to, blah, blah, blah. I would be like, you know what? I think I'm good.
and as if that yields better results, right?
I don't think it does. I think people spun off of Google's really hard questions, and I feel like Google kind of started that. Do you think that guy with those hard interviews?
This is like how many manhole covers are in the United States?
I don't know. Well, did your son have to go through that when he was a Google?
He went to interview
the friends
with
and family.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it didn't. Nick was a Google intern. Way back in the day.
I don't really. I will tell you, I don't know the answer to those questions, because I'm such a involved parent. But I will tell you that both of those kids have told me that, and they work at now Google and eBay. So my sons, if you added up all their big brand name experience, have worked at Google, eBay, Looker, and Apple. And I will tell you that Salesforce, yeah. And I've asked them, has anybody ever in any interview ever asked you your GPA? And the answer is no.
No,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So this
don't study any of you out there.
That's not the message.
So I wanted to ask this for you, because if you get nervous about you are interviewing high profile guests like Jane Goodall and, some of these, some of you have known for a while, but also like at South by Southwest, you're up on stage sometimes, interviewing people like Mark Cuban and those kind of folks. Do does the status of the individual make you nervous anymore, or is that completely over for you?
I wouldn't say it's completely over. I still get butterflies every time, but I have my theory. I It's funny because in a week, I'm interviewing Dr. Leanna Wen. She's the doctor that you always see on CNN whenever they want to talk about COVID and epidemics and that kind of stuff. And so she was just interviewed on NPR. And whenever I hear that, my goal in every podcast interview is that the guest at some point says either, wow, you really did a lot of research, or they say, you asked me the best questions of any interviewer. That is my goal. When that happens, I just feel so fulfilled. Like John M. Chu, future guests, I asked him a question. He said, wow, you guys really did a lot of research. I asked him why 33 was his favorite number. Let's just say most people have not asked him that.
Well, you get that a lot, though. You get a lot of people going, no one's ever asked me that question. And I think that's a sign of, a good interview.
Well, that's because some dumbass intern has printed out the Wikipedia entry and said, okay, here's Jane Goodall's Wikipedia entry. You're on in 30 seconds. So, Jane, what was it like to be in Africa? Duh.
It was jungly.
Yeah, it was jungly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was it hot?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wondered if, because I know I have a feeling like you would have some butterflies if you got Michelle Obama on to interview.
I don't think I could get a sentence out if it was Michelle Obama.
You underestimate me.
Okay, you might, but you would still inside be fangirling over Michelle Obama. Come on.
Michelle Obama. But I will tell you, if anybody's out there listening and is, totally connected with these kind of people, if somebody said you could have anybody in the world today, I probably would ask for Stacey Abrams.
She's climbing the charts.
I think she saved democracy. I really do.
In our country, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go to our other question, if I can hit the right button, because I'm, So
if anybody anybody out there BFF with Stacey Abrams, I will be your best friend for life. I will send you free books. I'll send you Merge for socks. I will send you a MacBook Air M1. Jeff will shave his beard if you get me an interview with Stacey Abrams.
I don't know about that.
It will cut off her hair.
Nope.
No way. So here's a good question.
Some of those things will happen, and that will not be my hair or Jeff's beard. But you could get books, socks, and Guy's Eternal Gratitude, which is
remarkable tablet. I will personally review your PowerPoint, or I said the wrong word. I will review your Canva pitch. I will. Remember how in the old days you used to say, I would kiss your ass in the middle of Times Square? That's just not correct anymore, is it?
But you said it, so.
I know, but I'm just saying it's not right. You shouldn't say that anymore.
But what we should say, let's go to this question. So Peg and I have talked about this before because I think we both have worked for people who don't have a service mentality. They have, what is that, the baker or the, what is the?
Eater.
The eater. Yeah. A lot of people have an eater mentality, and we've all worked for those types of people. So this is a question to our audience. Have you adopted a service mentality, or do you have a good example of somebody who has adopted a service mentality? I think that's a great question, and they talk about this in the podcast because, unfortunately, a lot of people do have that eater instead of the baker,
right.
philosophy.
Yeah, you can explain the baker and the eater.
We should explain that metaphor, yeah.
I'm hungry, though, so.
Yeah. So
use pie.
So the baker versus eater theory is that some people are eaters, and as an eater, you're thinking, oh, if I don't eat quickly, if I don't eat as much as I can, somebody else will get it. Somebody else will eat more, so it's a zero-sum game. If I don't eat it, you will. If you eat it, I won't. So it's that kind of thing. A baker, by contrast, is a person who believes that they can make more pies and more cookies and more cakes so everybody can get the sweetness. And so, I just generally think that people who are successful and people who are happy are bakers, not eaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you guys in the audience? So let's see.
I think that is like I don't know how new it is, but that is a new wave of leadership, is that they're saying that better leaders are in service to their to the people underneath them versus bossing them around. I've read quite a few things lately about successful leaders having the service mentality towards just helping everybody succeed. You as a leader, you should 100% be an eater. I mean, a baker, not just an eater, because you want everybody to succeed.
Right.
And I think that's hard for people because everybody doesn't have that maybe built in automatically, but it's definitely something that you can work on and be cognizant of and work towards having a service mentality. If you work in social media and you're creating content, try to think how you're serving your community. Like when we're talking about the podcast, we try to share something interesting that you guys would say, oh, that's so cool. That will definitely connect with me. We're talking about stories about stage fright or, what it's like to be on a rock star stage or to be on tour, which is something that a lot of people don't get to do, obviously. So it's really cool to hear about it. So think about, like, in what you're doing, how you can translate that service mentality to be more successful.
Speaking of service,
go ahead.
Speaking of service mentality, last week we made an impassioned pitch for people to review this podcast on Apple. And we got 1. So does that mean the system is broken or only one person likes our podcast?
Well, I think it's a mixture of Apple's. I still even got some more emails this week about still glitches over there. But if you do enjoy this podcast at remarkablepeople.com, make sure you guys go and leave us a rating and review, because it does make a huge difference. And we want to make sure that it's working. So go there. If you haven't done it, we ask you if you would do that for us. We'd appreciate it. Yes.
Maybe we should cut the middleman out and just ask people to send us comments via email, because it cannot be that from June to August only one person wanted to write a review. That is just...
I would really like it if they would go and do it at Apple, because if they send us an email, we can't add it ourselves. So
but we could read it on air.
Yeah,
we could. I was going to go because we said we were going to read the one that we got.
Yeah, so if you can bring that up. I want to bring up some comments. This is nice. So I love you 3 together. Oh, that's sweet. So Peter says, does service mentality not start with value creation first?
That's a deep question.
We'll get back to you on that, Peter.
Think about it. See, this is why you shouldn't do Q&A. Well, I mean, if you are servicing somebody, you're definitely creating value. And if you create value, you're servicing somebody. You could make the argument that they're just flips, 2 different sides of the coin. It's heads or tails. Feel free to bring back the other people in this podcast. There you go.
Okay, so I just found our comment from last week.
You mean the one person? The one person on the internet who likes the podcast. Yeah.
Our favorite listener, OSX Girl, said, so much passion, 5 stars. Jumping in at the end of the show left me with a smile. I love technology and the story of Guy and Apple. Thanks for talking about the Mac Mail bounce back feature. And then she did some emojis. So you can also do emojis. I actually never really think about doing emojis on there, but please go to Apple and leave us a review, because it really does help other people find the podcast.
Yeah, it does. So we asked about.
And you guys say you love it. You say you love it. So are you?
Why don't you play the intro? Play the 30-second intro, Jeff, and then people can have 30 seconds to go leave a comment, and we'll just wait.
Well, if you really want me to, I will, but I don't know how effective that would be for a live stream. Let's see. Michelle says, over a decade ago, Guy was my featured guest. Oh, I got to take that off. On national radio show, Let's Talk Business. That's very, very cool. So,
I hope I was good.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is what Peter meant. He says, value creation, what I mean is it almost feels like we get so carried away with providing a service and everything under the sun, we forget the value that they crave.
Yeah. I always try to provide value. That's one of the core things is, educating, entertaining.
Right.
So I always keep those in mind. And informing, inspiring.
And I think I'm not trying to blow smoke, but I think Guy does a great job with this, like on his posts and even bringing us up on screen. I mean, the people behind the scenes, he's bringing us up. He's not like trying to hog all the spotlight. Of course, I can turn him off because I'm controlling the camera, but but I mean, Peg and I both worked for people before where they won't even we'll be on a show and they won't even mention us in the post later. I mean, I never understand that kind of mentality. And I think when we're talking about the baker versus the eater, I think Guy really is a good example of that.
Friggin' baker, baby. I am like the Pillsbury Doughboy, baby.
That's my patron saint right there. So
I was thinking about this. Maybe we should ask our transcribers to come on too.
That would be fun.
That would be 5 of us.
We could
heads would explode. That
would be a lot.
Yeah.
So,
we got Angela saying definitely going to write a guest review on Apple. Let us know, if you do that, email us because I want to see how long it takes to surface.
Yeah.
As soon as you write it, say, hey, and just copy and paste what you wrote. That way we make sure it's not lost of all your hard work, and we'll read that next week. But I want to know when you actually posted it and then when it shows up in Apple, because I think that would be a good experience.
Don't we have to give them an email address?
Well, you always do, I think. Isn't it Guy at I'll let you do.
Well, you can send it to any of them. It's guy@canva.com or guykawasaki@gmail. We should get, we should be like a professional organization and get info@remarkablepeople.com or something,
Yeah, and Peg has put it in the Facebook post as well, where to go. So very cool.
I was trying to do it in LinkedIn, but it started playing. So I'll put it in LinkedIn afterwards if you need it.
You could put I created a Google Doc about how to post a Apple Podcast comment because lots of people didn't realize, and I didn't, that you have to be signed in to do it, right? There's some complexity. It's not trivial, which I don't understand.
I'll share that on LinkedIn.
God forbid there's too much interaction, right? So I don't get it.
Yeah. So there's somebody who wrote if they need to put it on Apple, that would be the best place, but also send us an email as well. So I appreciate you guys doing that. So
yeah, or leave a comment and on here we'll see it there too.
Yeah,
I look at the comments later.
So here's another question: if you're a speaker, how much? And we kind of answered this. How much do you practice your speeches? I know Guy doesn't anymore. He's got his 5. But Peg, how much do you when you go to social media marketing world, which you mentioned before? How often do you practice?
Well, I create. I'm different than Guy. I create a different speech for everything that I do because I'm usually teaching how to do something in particular. And I always want to have the latest and the newest. And then, of course, my own original ideas in there. So I create something new. I do use Canva as well to create custom presentations. And so I that's part of the practicing is I'm just going through it a lot while I'm making it. And then I'm always stopping and going through it to check, is the order good? Am I teaching enough? Sometimes you put too much stuff in, and that actually is also bad because people can only remember 1 or 2, maybe 3 things from your whole speech that you really want to nail something and they're good. And then I will go over it. I have to say, I never record myself. I never time myself, which could bite me in the behind sometimes, but I usually can make it always fit exactly where it needs to go. I kind of keep my eye on the time. I love when you do a speech or presentation, there's a timer there so you can see how much time you have left versus the person with a card, 10 minutes. And then I'm okay, wrapping it up. But so I practice it as I'm making it and I practice while I'm doing it. I go over a lot. I do not memorize it, but I don't read off my slides. My slides are an overview, and then I add all the points unless it's screenshots or something like that. So probably in the whole creation process, I don't even know. It's probably for a 1 hour thing, it's probably, I swear, 15 hours of creation time. It seems like it's a lot in practicing. It is. Yeah. Cause I'm looking up, it's almost writing a chapter in a book because I'm writing 10 ways that you can use Pinterest for Google, to get in the top of Google search. Right. And so that's very specific. So I have to do a lot of research and
so what I
find examples and What about you, Jeff?
So what I do now is I use, and I love this for my podcast. And if you are not thrilled with the podcast app that you're using, I use Overcast, which I really, really like to listen to like guys' podcasts and subscribe to other ones. But it has a feature for their pro plan, which allows you to upload to it. And so I upload I usually record my talk before I go to like Social Media Marketing World or whatever. And then I listen to it like on the plane. And I mean, I even have some of my jokes in there and stories and stuff. And so it just helps me feel more comfortable because I'm kind of auditory learner. And that's what I do.
Yeah. See, I'm a visual learner. I'm a combination, but visual is my highest. So I like to see the presentation while I'm making it.
Right.
So listening to it would annoy me.
I get sick of myself, but it's the only way that really helps me memorize. I mean, or get the flow. Right. I don't memorize it either, but I get the flow because I have a lot of stories in mind. So I'm
going to show you a useful tool.
Oh, cool.
This is a $25 thing I bought on Amazon. So you see this?
Yeah.
So this is something you just, turn this thing. And so let's say, you have to be on for, I don't know, 30 minutes. And then this is huge. It's probably 7 inches diameter. And so out of your peripheral vision, you can see the red going down to 0. So you know how to time yourself. This is when you do a virtual keynote. So this, I find, is very useful rather than trying to squint and find a clock or looking at the time. You'd have to do a calculation, right? So if you start at 10:15, you have half an hour, you need to figure out, okay, so it's now 10:43. How much does that leave me? And you have to do math. This is just, okay, so the red is getting less and less and less. It's time to go down. It's getting time to wrap up, guy. And this is a very useful thing. It's like $25 on Amazon.
You could also hang it around somebody's neck.
Okay,
I was going to say he could hang it on somebody's neck in the front row, like when he does live things again. So
I could have somebody like, how they have boxing matches. Somebody walks around the ring and they have this
ring girl.
Yeah.
So it could be it's a ring person.
Yeah.
I have a little teeny timer that's like probably that big that does have a countdown thing on it, but I don't know where it is at the moment. But mine's small and it can do a countdown thing on it.
So but you have to go set 10 minutes, right? So all I have to do is turn this knob. It's one way or the other. I mean,
that's cool. So we have a great question from Jonathan. He goes, I found that reading Dr. Seuss books before a presentation puts me in a chipper mood. What trick do you have to pep up your before you do your talk? Do you have any, do you listen to music, guy? What do you do to get ready or in the zone?
CBD.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. I eat mushrooms.
No, it's just real.
Oh my gosh. We're off the rails.
Woo!
I listen to gospel music. I'm kidding.
Okay. There's the power pose. Some people say that doing the power pose, especially if you're a woman, is supposed to help do like a superwoman or Superman pose. And you're just like, and then you look in the mirror and you say, God darn it, you're worth it. You can do this.
I listen to the Trump. I listened to the Trump inaugural speech and I said, God damn it, I'm better than the president.
So what I do for real is and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, is I go talk to people in the audience. Mm-hmm. So I go say, how you doing? Where you from? And the guy does this and Peg does this. But one, it forces me, I don't worry about what's coming up because I'm talking to somebody. It's taking my mind off what's coming. And I also feel like I'm building and they're excited to talk with me. So they're liking talking to me. So I get some good feedback that way. And then I go and do the presentation. So anyway.
Is a speaker when you're walking down the hall and you're going up to your room and there's a huge line of people, you're just like, oh my God, thank God there's people that are here, number one. But then I do like to say thanks for coming. I'm like even before I go in, and then they're like, is that her? Is she going to they don't really know. Sometimes they don't know who you are yet, but that's the point. But
and then you find out they're overfilled for the current session. They're not waiting for you. No.
Right. Then you're like, well, you can wait. You could come. And they're like, interest? Nah. No.
Yeah. Or you're circulating with the audience and they say, oh, your book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, changed my life.
So Anthony says he takes a small shot of cognac before he goes. He's just kidding, but nothing like being drunk before you speak.
Some people like to do a lot of caffeine or energy drinks, but for me that is a no bueno because I'm so kind of hyper anyway, and I feel like that would just set me I would probably be on stage going oh my God, you guys, guess what? I'd be like, way too excited.
That's you without caffeine.
Yeah.
Right? I haven't been drinking. I haven't had caffeine in like 2 months.
So Peter says you could see the whole Eminem scene from 8 Mile before the first rap battle guy. He wants you to do that before you go live. So
I don't even know what he's talking about.
It's Eminem.
Is Eminem a kind of candy?
It is, but there's also a rap star. So
he's a rapper, and 8 Mile is where he lived in Detroit. Yeah, 8 Miles.
Oh, too.
On Woodward
I thought that's where the nuclear reactor melted down.
That was something else, Mile.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
3 Mile.
Oh wow, we have gone off. So that's our last question. Let's see.
How do you
connect with an audience when you're speaking, Guy?
I do that. I go up to the audience before. Many speakers, they got this dumbass attitude about, they need to focus and be removed. And I've heard of, I talk to event planners all the time, and there are some people who have in their contract, no one can make eye contact with, whoever. No one can come into the speaker ready room. No one can say anything to him or her. No one can make eye contact. It's like such total bullshit. And so I do quite the opposite. I don't give a shit. I'll talk about anything. I'm like, I'll sign books. I'll take selfie. I'll do whatever you want. I don't care. So that's how I try to connect.
The first time I met you at South by Southwest, you were taking pictures of people taking pictures of you.
Yeah.
That was the thing for a while. Yeah. Sometimes I like to do a selfie from the stage. I like to just turn around and put out like, okay, you guys, I'm just going to do a little quick click. And people are super excited to be in that. So that's kind of fun. That
really works.
Yeah.
It does.
I also have...
Go ahead.
Oh, wait. My wife is calling. You guys take this for a while.
Okay. Hi, Beth. So I actually, Kerry Washington did that at Blog Her one time, and then I'm in one of Kerry Washington's selfies.
Oh, that's cool.
My friend Michelle Kay are right in the front. So I thought that was kind of fun. So it is a good icebreaker, and people kind of think it's fun. And then you share it later, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm in her picture or his picture." It's nice. It's a good community connector.
So
and it also you smile, so it breaks your if you are a little nervous, you'll be smiling.
Yeah,
smiling makes you less nervous.
And you can show it to your mom afterwards. Really, Mom, I've made it. Look, all these people who come seeing me.
Doesn't really think I have.
So
my mom would be like,
But what do you do? Do you do anything a lot of people talk about a hook in your speech at the beginning. Do you tell a joke? Do you do something self-effacing before you? What do you do, Guy?
I will give you a story that I guarantee will work. Okay? There are a few guarantees in life. There's death, there's taxes, and this story. So now you have to be invited to something where you can credibly say it's kind of an honor. So that's a caveat, right? So there are many times where I start a speech and I say, never in a million years did I think I would ever be keynoting this IBM conference or this Microsoft conference or speaking to all the $1 million roundtable insurance agents or speaking to, you get the picture, right? So it's got to be some prestigious group, TEDx, Berkeley, whatever. Never in a million years did I think. So last night I told my wife, honey, can you believe it? I am the keynote speaker for IBM. Never in my in your wildest dreams, did you ever think your husband would be the keynote speaker for IBM Developer World? And you know what my wife said to me? She said, honey, you're not in my wildest dreams. Works every time. Works every time.
What about you, Peg? Do you have a go-to? What do you do? No, that's a good one. But now everybody's going to use that because Guy does.
Yeah, I'll say mine. It's not as good as Guy's, but mine is I usually start out by saying that my name is Peg Fitzpatrick, and then I say, if you like it, please tweet me at Peg Fitzpatrick. If you don't like it, my name is Peg Fitzgerald, and just make sure you use the @ mention for that.
That's good. That's good.
So, but other people have already stolen that one because the thing is, people get Fitzpatrick wrong all the time. It seems like a very easy name, but people get Fitzpatrick wrong constantly.
Hey.
So it's just kind of like a joke about my name.
It's no worse than Kiyosaki versus Kawasaki.
That's true.
It's true. I've started new jobs and my mailbox would say Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And I would be like, no. Remember back when we had mailboxes at work?
Oh yes, the days.
It was
I usually go and say something like, when I first come up on stage, because I say, I know you guys are thinking like, oh my gosh, a personal trainer or a lumberjack, but no, I'm a computer guy, and that's usually breaks the ice because I'm a little rotund as well. You can't tell, but I say, oh, you thinking I'm a personal trainer? No, I'm just a normal guy, just like you.
A lumberjack, I could
see. You know what? You should start your speeches, Jeff. Okay, Jeff, I have the solution for you. You should start your speeches dressed as Santa.
I have done a video back in the day of where I was the elf on the shelf. That's pretty scary. You want to frighten children and just never, you burn into your retinas. You can find that somewhere, but
there's the one where you were a turkey.
Yeah, I have that one too. That was baby beard. And Peg usually comes to my live speeches because we're usually at the same conference, and I always call her my BBFs, my before beard friend, because she knew me back before I had a beard.
Your little baby beard.
Yeah.
Really? True. You have a chin?
Mm-hmm. It's this is all fake. I glue it on every morning. All right, we are at the end of our time. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we have gone off the rails. But talk about this week's podcast and then tease next week's, because it's amazing.
Wait, two things. Two takeaways, though, before we start anything else. Listen to this week's podcast and leave us a review. Please leave us a review.
Yes.
Please. And subscribe so you don't miss next week's guest.
Or just everybody get one person to listen to this episode.
Yep.
Because there's probably 10,000 people listening to this, right? So if everybody got one person, wow, that would make my day.
Yeah. Okay. And don't forget about the Ohana as well, guys.
Okay.
Text group, and sign up so you get reminded about.
Who do we have next week, gang?
Oh my gosh, this
John M. Chu. So excited!
Man, holy shit!
So excited!
It was a good episode. If you have watch In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians, because they talk about that a lot. So if that's your homework, if you haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched In the Heights yet, you are in for a total treat. It is my favorite. Jeff is so sick of me talking about it. I listen to the music all the time, and I switch between the Broadway and the movie because there's some songs that I like better in each one.
Crazy.
But
I gotta tell you, I am a Crazy Rich Asian. I love Crazy Rich Asian. It's just, like some people say, oh, guy, aren't you afraid that it fosters the stereotype of Asians? I don't give a shit. I loved Crazy Rich Asian. It's like I had a whole new, oh my God. It was, best movie I've seen since Never Say Never.
I have to see if I can find it. But when that book came out, I got it and I was on a trip out to see you.
So you were preparing for our meeting.
I was preparing to come to Atherton.
Crazy Rich Asians has just got so many Asian stereotypes, just so freaking perfect, man. And when the tiger mom is on the phone with Nick Fielding's character, whatever, and she's worried that he's coming to the wedding because she's who is he bringing, and her Bible study group is all concerned about who he's bringing. And I sort of, the best line in the movie is where she puts down her cell phone, puts her cell phone away and says, "You guys go on to Corinthians. I'll catch up." Oh my God. Holy shit. I don't know how people come up with lines like that.
And just like this week, there's tons of behind the scenes great stories that if you haven't listened to the episode that dropped today, make sure you do that. And then sign up for, like we talked about, so you get it when you get a reminder that a new podcast episode is dropped, because next week has tons of behind the scenes, really interesting stories.
If you know anybody who wants to be in movies, actor, actress, director, whatever, they have got to listen to the next episode.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a great one.
Or if you just like movies, which is so many people,
or musicals,
like movies.
Or if you know anybody Asian who drives a German car, I mean, that's good enough.
With that, everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening. Go to remarkablepeople.com, sign up for everything on that. Give us a rating review. And with that, Peg, I'll let you sign us off.
Really? Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
This is
got nothing else to
clack,
say.
And Peg.
What?
Bye.
Click, clack, and Peg.
Oh.